We'll be reading The H2O Leadership Team Goes to the Movies by Zachary William Blickens. Here we go. Brandon Eels was excited. He was getting ready to go to the movies with the H2O leadership team. He had never seen Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel, but he had heard the acting was spectacular. "Have you seen my glittery Ed Hardy sweatshirt?" he called to Nicole. "It's in the closet on your left," she yelled back from the kitchen. "Why don't you head out to the car? I'll be right there." "Thanks, Muffin," Brandon called back. "Do you have the keys?" "I sure do, sweetie." She poked her head out from the kitchen. "I'll get them right to you." "You're the best wife ever," Brandon smiled. "I was right to marry you." Nicole slid the keys across the floor to her left, and Brandon picked them up. "Now hurry up and get in the car, Pumpkin Noodle, or there won't be any seats left." She smiled. Brandon opened the door and stepped outside. "I'm sure there will be enough seats left," he called back. "There are always seats left, right up until the last minute." "You're right," she called after him. "You're right more often than I give you credit for. Sometimes I think that I'm right, only to find out that you've been right the whole time, and the only thing left for me to do is to say that you were right in the first place." "That's all right," said Brandon. "Can I write that down and remind you of it later?" Nicole smiled. Brandon shut the door, turned left, and walked out to his sharp-looking blue truck. He thought back to the moment he had purchased it. His heart had been set on a truck just like this, something masculine and strong that said action with style. When he had entered the dealership, he hadn't been sure there would be any left, but he had found one after all, a pretty blue one. And out of the whole dealership, his had been the final frontier. He shook his head and chuckled. He unlocked the door, opened it, and got in. Always safety conscious, he adjusted the mirrors. First the rearview mirror on the windshield, then the mirrors on the right and left sides of the car. He admired his work and then readjusted the right side mirror. First turning it right, then left, then right again. He sat back, then nudged the left side mirror to the right, and finally nudged the right side mirror ever so slightly to the left. He sat back again. Perfect, he thought. It always takes a little while to get it just right. He reached down to the right and turned on the car stereo. The delicate strains of Tiny Dancer filled his car, and Brandon smiled and began to hum along. He leaned back and relaxed into the seat. "This is all right," he whispered to himself, as he let the sound of Elton's voice sweep him away. Meanwhile, Josh was running late. "Have you seen my jeans?" he called to Courtney. "They're right in front of you on that drawer to your left," she called back. He opened the drawer and looked inside. "No, I mean the skin-tight girl jeans that hug my calves," he shouted. Courtney poked her head into the doorway to his left. "You mean the ones that you can only iron after they're on your body?" she asked. "I think those jeans in front of you are all you have left." "Never mind," Josh smiled. "These will be all right. I guess it doesn't matter how cool I look if I'm going to a movie about magical talking chipmunks." "Hey!" Courtney smacked him playfully with her left hand. "This movie will be all right. Lori has already seen it twice. She says it's a hoot." "Just all right," Josh grinned. "Talking chipmunk movies are awesome." He dodged to the left as Courtney lifted her right hand to smack him again. Then he feinted right, then left, then right, and then left again, and quickly slid through the doorway on his right. She tagged him one more time on the way out. Carlos and Krista were having difficulties of their own. "Do you even know where this place is?" Krista asked for the third time. "Come on, babe, you just gotta chill out." Carlos smiled briefly and glanced out the window to his left. "Why don't we turn on some Christmas music and relax?" He reached down with his right hand and turned on the radio. The sound of jingle bells filled the car. Without thinking, Carlos began to sing along. "Jingle bells, jingle bells." "Aw, heck no," Krista yelled. "If I hear one more person sing that song..." "Relax, I'm just messing with you." Carlos smiled, reached to the right and shut the radio off. "I know you're not a big fan of that song. Look, baby, we're here." He turned left into the parking lot. "It's that song." Krista shook her head forcibly, looking first to the left, and then to the right, and then back to the left again. Something's just not right about that song. Andre was sitting on his couch, watching MTV's Cribs. His roommate was standing in the doorway to the left, pleading with him for help. "Man, I really need your help, you know that, right?" Andre glanced up, rolled his eyes, and looked right back at the TV. "How come you think I would help you break into your car anyway?" I don't know." His roommate looked down and shuffled his left foot guiltily. Andre shook his head. "Is it because I look like I wouldn't know how to do stuff like this?" "Kinda, I guess that's half of it." His roommate stared at the ground by his right foot. Whatever, Andre sighed. Go check my room. I think the carjacking tool was on the dresser on the left. I'm waiting for Brandon to pick me up. Thanks so much, man. His roommate turned left and headed for Andre's room. He called back to Andre over his left shoulder. Still haven't gotten your license back yet, huh? First they arrest you, then they take your license? That's just not right. Not right at all, muttered Andre and glanced at his phone. I hope Brandon hasn't forgotten and left me behind. His roommate appeared in the doorway to his left again. I looked on the dresser to the left and all I could find was this brick. Outside, the horn of Brandon's Frontier sounded a clear, masculine-sounding blast. Yep, that's my tool. Andre jumped up, grabbed his coat, and jogged to the door on his left. He opened the door and smiled back over his right shoulder at his roommate. Have fun with that. I'm sure you'll do all right. Left holding the brick in his right hand, his roommate rolled his eyes. I can't believe he left me here. Already nearly to the theater in her minivan, Laura was smiling. She laughed out loud to herself, just imagining the shenanigans the other leadership were probably involved in on their way to the movies. I love movies with talking woodland creatures, she thought to herself as she turned right onto a side street. She turned right again, then left, then right again, and finally turned left into the movie theater parking lot. I hope there are parking spots left, she thought to herself, and then smiled joyously as she saw an open space to her right. She pulled in and stopped the car. All right, she thought. Now all that's left is to head right on in and see if I can find the rest of the team. Cruising smoothly in his jet black RAV4, Zach was singing along to the music that was softly filling his car. Did you ever know that you're my hero? He closed his eyes and smiled, caught up in the moment, and then began to sing again, letting the passion flow from his heart. You're everything I wish I could be. Sarah hit the power knob with her left hand and the music stopped abruptly. Please stop singing that. She rolled her eyes. Brandon says this car makes you look bad enough as it is. Brandon isn't always right about everything, you know, Zach winked. We turn left up here, right? Right, Sarah answered. You mean right we turn left or like right we go right? Yeah, that's correct, said Sarah. Zach was confused. You mean correct we go right or turn the car left, said Sarah. Zach went straight ahead. You just missed the turn again, Sarah said wearily. Do you realize that you just passed that left 4 times in a row? Left, 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 and left. Just trying to make it fun, Zach smiled. He turned sharply to the left and picked up speed, moving quickly through traffic until he was back in the exact same place he had started from. He smiled and turned left into the movie theater parking lot. We made it, right? He eased into the nearest parking spot and turned on the Beaches soundtrack again, playing it loudly enough to draw attention from several curious moviegoers. Zach smiled broadly at them as if to say, cool tunes, huh? That's right, honey, Sarah said. She reached down and turned the music off again. That's right. They hurried in, found the rest of the team, saw the movie, and yes, the acting was amazing. The end. Thanks so much for joining us for our holiday celebration 2009.